Welcome to the Talkin' Shed podcast with your host, Adam Finney, where we talk all things farm equipment. Tune in as we interview farmers, industry leaders, and talk about our own dealership story. Follow along as we talk about topics like cover crops, nutrient placement, and things that make your farm and every farm across the country different. You're listening to the Talkin' Shed podcast, and thank you for tuning in.
Well, guys, we're back again. It's been a while since we've recorded a podcast.
Yeah, just a minute. That's
today,
for sure.
We're up here at the Nova store. Mm-hmm. I haven't been up here for a while. Today is July 21st, and it's not too hot today. But why don't we go around here quick? We've got some people to introduce here. Of course, we've got Cody.
Yep.
Seth.
Yep. Corbin.
Hello. Corban Riggenbach.
Correct.
Okay. And Corbin's going to be kind of the center of our episode here today. We'll get to Corbin's background and really dive in, but you can probably tell by the title of the podcast that Corbin is the newest employee here at Fennec Equipment. So Cody and I kind of traveled up here today to not only meet Corbin, but introduce him on the podcast and get everyone familiar with him. So Corbin, what's your background, where you come from, and what are you up to today?
Very good. Okay, I live in Sterling, Ohio, which is Wayne County, and been in that area all my life, and been in the farm machinery business for 25 years or so, selling tractors, combines, tillage to a lot of the local farms, and just looking forward to my next journey here. So
sweet. There was a lot of farmers are always looking for more, and with Fennec Equipment we branch out a lot. And when we can add a salesman who can go on the road and spread the word on what we're doing, that's real exciting. So, at Fennec Equipment, we do a lot of attachments and stuff. What were you selling? What kind of machinery were you selling where you were?
So we had the white planters as far as that goes, and also tillage would have been more sunflower type of, more of your traditional tillage. In my immediate area, I have a lot of dairies that have their own challenges of cover crops that they harvest and then planting back into that and some things like that. So I'm looking real forward to being able to help out with those needs. That's
awesome. There's obviously a wide variety of things that we carry here, and we're excited to have you on board, and I think there's a lot of fun stuff ahead. We'll dive deep into Corbin's background and everything. Seth, we're up here at Nova. What's new up here?
It's been busy. The tillage side of the business has been phenomenal.
Yes.
And the parts as well. But yeah, as far as new, little bits of a slowdown here. It's been getting back on the road, getting in front of farmers. Just beginning to talk about fall already, and trying to figure out. Guys have been demoing too, maybe making some changes. We're talking, residue management.
Right.
And so that's been a lot of the conversation here lately.
Sure. Weather played a big part in everything early on in the season. We had a lot of rain early, then it cut off dry. The end of June, we had pineapple corn, and we've had some rain come through that saved everyone. How has that changed things? I mean, you got 9/10 up here last night.
Yeah, 9/10 last night, 1.5 on Sunday, and well needed. A lot of things were dire,
right?
So it has changed everyone's attitude,
right?
And so moving forward, and I think the forecast now, I think we're still going to get a few more rains as we need them. So definitely a game changer.
Yeah. Back home we had guys at side dress time we run that triple threat fertilizer system. There were some guys that, because the corn wasn't tall enough yet and it was so hot and dry, they were considering maybe not using or maybe not putting fertilizer on top of the ground. It was so dry. So the corn has changed so much. I mean, we were up on 30, and about the time we turned on a 98 heading north, I thought, holy cow, look at this.
Yeah, and this stuff looked really good.
And it's been pretty strong. It's good back home, but it's pretty uneven, and you've got a lot of that. But yeah, the time of year that we're in now is kind of in limbo. There's areas where there's guys leaning to the side of, well, my corn crop's not going to be there. Then there's guys kind of pushing forward on the throttle saying, well, there it is. We need to do that trade. I need that Salford now. And how soon can you get it to me? So right now is a great time to not only regroup as a company, but, forward sell things that we have in stock, because we all know what lead times are on some of this stuff. Seth, you've sold some new tillage recently. Walk us through how that stuff went and what those guys were basing their needs off of.
Yeah, so a lot of this, I've been working with these guys for 3, 4, 5 years, demos. But yeah, basically, these guys are doing a little bit of everything. They're strip till, they're conventional, they're no-till, a lot of it. But the need for managing stalks in the fall and or spring, and just like this year, a wet spring, we got going late. A lot of this come from getting out demoing and proving the tool to them as we did those demos, airing out the soil, or once again we had that thick crust, wet underneath. Go out and run these tools, prove that, and that's where a lot of this now has come from. And also the fact of knowing it's going to be 25 to 34 weeks till you can get one.
Right.
They're like, I better take this now.
Right.
I'm not going to get this. Prices are only going to go up. So that's part of it as well. So,
how much of it do you think is because of, you've been selling Salfords in this area for a long time. Fennig Equipment's now in Nova. We've been here now for, I don't even know how long. A couple years? A few years?
Yeah, actually, we've been in this building for a year now.
Yeah.
I've been in the area of Fennig Equipment for 3.5.
Yeah.
So, a lot of that is relationship based too. I had started a lot of these relationships back in 2012. Right. And carried them along to now. And
Sure.
So that does play a big part in it.
Yeah, we're starting to get quite a few serial numbers out there across the country. And I remember when we first started selling Salford, I mean, I'm talking, 2010 range probably. There were people who didn't even know what Salford was. And you had to explain a lot of things about the tool to them. And today, I have guys calling, I want a 2200, or I want a 1200, or my neighbor has this. It's something to be reckoned with today. And it's amazing how it's made that evolution. It's always been the underdog. We're pricing against that 2660 or the new Terramax or whatever it is, and every tool has their spot. We're not going to say that it doesn't. But today, we're a familiar face in the market, and it's a good feeling.
That's absolutely, it is. And then just back to what you were saying there again, and you look in the area, I think you guys have been out here with me, all the old 570s that were out here. But that all come from explaining what the tool's doing. Because a lot of times you can't see what it's doing. You don't see what it's doing below the surface.
Right.
You see what it's doing at that top 2 or 3. Just explain it. How is it going to help the customer? What is it doing to the ground?
Yeah.
And so I think we've educated a lot of people, along with ourselves. That's been a long time, to make it almost a household name now, at least in this area.
Yeah. Yeah, Salford's been big with us lately, and we'll dive in a little bit into like the VRT, what we feel of that tool and stuff like that. But Cody, you sold some applicators recently. Why don't you walk us through, you know, what you're seeing and how those applicators even came about, because they weren't just down the road.
No, yeah. So I sold 2 60-foot J&Ms up in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and so last year he bought 2 devastators off of me. He actually bought 3 devastators off me. This guy farms probably about 10,000 acres, and he called me up one day. He's like, "Hey, you guys sell applicators?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, what do you sell?" And I was like, "Well, we sell the J&Ms or Fast." And he's like, "Well, he evidently had a bad taste in his mouth for Fast at one point in time." And he's like, "Well, what about those J&Ms?" He's like, "I got J&M grain carts. You know, I know the quality's there. They build good stuff. You know, give me a price on one of them." I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "Well, are you trading anything in?" And he goes, "Yeah, I got 2 Rutherfords that I want to trade in that he bought like back in 2016. And so he's just basically upgrading right now, one with injectors and one with knives. Right now, it's kind of one of those deals to where we're looking at lead times like what Seth mentioned as far as on tillage. And luckily enough for us, you know, we've already put our spots in for builds at J&M because the cutoff date for builds at J&M are done. So I think they were out in like 2.5 weeks or something along those lines. And he's like, I can't. He was pricing me out and stuff like that, and I understand that, and you know, more power to him. But yeah, it basically all started from devastators that I sold him back from last year, and he turned and was like, "Hey, you guys know what you're doing as far as fertilizer application side of things. What do you think you can do for me?" And I was like, "Okay." And he's actually looking at a Magnus Spread Plus now that he wants me to price him out. So we're working on that as well. So
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's amazing how the small sales, the closing wheels that we sold 3 years ago turn into a new Salford. And it's amazing how guys in Michigan have an eye on what we're doing. The application world has become such a big part of what we're doing, you know, not only on BBI spreaders, but mainly in the liquid world, really. I mean, we're selling a ton of the J&M applicators. I think we ordered, I don't know, a couple.
I think we
big
ordered 8.
ones.
Yeah.
You know, I think we're creeping up on 20 or so total that we have ordered for 23, and that's huge. I mean, and you know, as Corbin sees with the business and as we go, inventory is big for us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you don't have it, how can you be in the game?
Yeah.
And both the tools set that you sold recently somehow happen to be in inventory.
We're on their way into inventory.
Right, or on their way to inventory.
Yep.
So that's great. You know, following through, meeting new customers, no matter what state they're from, is going to build that pocketbook of contacts. And pretty soon, as everyone here knows, it's going to lead to good relationships and good sales down the road. But, you know, talking about the J&M applicators, you know, we had a phenomenal season with them last year. We sold, I don't even know, 15, 20 of them.
Yeah.
And before their ordering window even opened up, we were ready to commit. And so I just sent over an email. I said, "I want to order these." And they said, "Well, we haven't even opened up our ordering window." I said, "Well, just save it for when you do and put it in." About 10 days later, they sent the confirmation email back, and today they're sold out.
Yeah.
They were sold out in about 10 days. And they sold twice as many applicators as they did the year before.
Yeah.
Wow. So, unbelievable. And we're just fortunate. You know, I can't imagine being a dealer, sitting on their hands, have a customer come to them in February, "Hey, I need an applicator." There's not a chance.
Where you been?
Yeah. You know, last year, I think I sold 3 applicators to other dealers. You know, so our business, being that we stay on the cutting edge of inventory, we supply a lot of dealers with product. You know, whether it's up here, you've got a few, Seth,
Yep.
or just random dealers. I had CMB Operations out of Minnesota, a big John Deere dealer, called me yesterday on a wide drop toolbar. He sold a brand new Hagee, and his customer needs a toolbar. So, you know, we supply that, and we get that demand from the inventory.
Yeah, we do quite a bit of that on the parts side here.
Right.
You know, with other dealers, you know, from Yetter or anything we carry. You know, they might not have it, need it right away, and so out of the Nova location, we have quite a bit of that going on.
Right. Right. As far as, you know, overall, I would say crops in Ohio look pretty strong. I mean, I'm not going to say we're going to set records or anything, but there's not a whole lot to be complaining about right now in Ohio. Now, I know there's some pockets that got extreme moisture. Marion got some crazy inches weeks ago, but overall, things look good. Double crop beans look like they actually are going to have some moisture now too.
Yeah, guys that were able to plant some of those double crop beans there, you know, in that end of June, beginning of July time frame, well, they got 7 inches of rain in July. Well, yeah, they're going to have a good start on the double crop beans there. So that's good news for them. And in general, I mean, you know, it's not going to be a great year like last year was, but it's going to be a good year at least.
Right.
You know,
There'll be crops to harvest.
Yeah.
There'll be grain carts chasing combines, like always.
for sure.
I was talking with a customer just the other day, and I've talked to a ton of guys recently about fungicide pressure on corn. And this farmer was down southeast Ohio, and they had scouted their fields several times and saw zero pressure. And then all this rain came, and they went and scouted again. Still not much pressure, but they went ahead and pulled the trigger. They feel the tar spots coming now with this last break of moisture. And so I think we're going to start seeing the fungicide applications picking up here in the next 2 weeks. But it's always a good sign when farmers are making that pass, because when they make that pass, they believe in their crop and they believe the yield's there.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign, in my opinion, when you're seeing the planes flying on fungicide.
Yeah.
Because I talked to many guys that 4 weeks ago, it was done. They weren't even going to think about dropping another. Well, we talked to a guy this morning, and just for application, you were $30 an acre with a helicopter. So, but that's great. You know, I think we'll be good, and harvest is not far away. As crazy as that sounds, we're basically looking at August 1 today.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Monday is the 25th, so I'd call July pretty well over. So, Corbin, you and I spoke about it earlier before the podcast, but let's talk about exactly where you're from in Ohio, what kind of farmland that is like. You know, where we're at in Coldwater, it's a bunch of farmers, smaller farms, and then in between in central Ohio, you get the big farmers. And then kind of over here in Nova again, you kind of shrink a little bit, much like Coldwater. What's it like where you're at?
That's a good question. So we do have a lot of dairies in Wayne County, and a lot of those are family dairies that could be anywhere from 100 cows to several hundred. We do have some grain farms there too, some other livestock, some hogs, some chickens. But for the main part, there are a lot of smaller farms there, but as we go out a little bit from there, there's larger farms that are mainly grain, corn, soybeans, quite a bit of hay in the area too. But
Nice. So Wayne County, you're talking dairy country, big time, right?
Yep.
And you're talking Worcester, Ohio.
Correct.
Right? Am I saying that right? Worcester or Wooster?
It's Worcester. Yeah.
Yep. That's always the joke that I get.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful part of the state of Ohio up there in northeast Ohio. we have a lot of customers up there too. There's plenty of ag, and I'm sure you probably kind of slip into Pennsylvania maybe. How far are you from Pennsylvania?
I'd be in Pennsylvania in a little over an hour, maybe, something like that. So
not too
yeah,
bad,
nope.
but a little further than what I
Right.
thought.
Got Cleveland and Akron kind of in that area.
Sure.
So
Good. Technically right now you're kind of a little bit on the outside looking in as when it comes to Fennig equipment and what we're doing. You're the new guy on the block per se. What from your seat in the ballpark, what do you feel looks different, and what do you feel is what's different? What do you whether it's the inventory or what do you feel is different from some other dealerships?
So I'd say as far as with Fennig equipment, what I see is the family-run business and being able to adapt to different situations and to be willing to focus on smaller changes a guy might want to make in his, instead of like completely changing planners, maybe adapt the planner to the needs he has. Working through things that way. Also, the Salford has been in the area. I know it's been in the area. I've heard about it. I've seen it. I felt the pressure from it. But as far as that, I'm happy to be able to offer that too. So,
Good.
Just a different tool.
Good. What products are you most excited about as far as things that you feel are really coming on hard? Of course we do closing wheels and all the planner attachments, but seeing the lineup and in your line of work, you see a different side of the customer probably than what we do. What do you think is just like, man, that right there is going to grow?
So I would say that we're looking a lot at the probably with the manure that we have in the area and the cover crops that are harvested for silages and stuff, I'd say the Salford's going to remain strong. And as far as different attachments, and I'm getting a lot of interest in strip till and just kind of maybe once again with the cover crop, getting those rye root balls out of the way and some things like that.
Yeah.
I think in Corbin's area, those dairies, manure incorporation, that's where I'm excited to work with Corbin and get the Salford VRT in that area.
Yeah,
Sure.
BRT, Halo.
I think that'll be a game changer for a lot of those operations.
Yep.
One tool that can do
All of them.
multiple jobs.
Yep.
The versatility of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's going to be exciting. First of all, we got to quit selling them all before they come in.
Yeah, that ain't no kidding.
Maybe do a demo.
That's not the problem. We need to get gunkman out at the factory to help them build them.
There you go. That
They
ain't
can
no
build them
kidding.
faster.
You think that would help?
I doubt it.
No, I
Nothing
know
would
it
get done.
No.
Yeah, so, I think, especially, I think too, it's a little tougher to some places to get around Wayne County. And there are a lot of narrow roads and things are kind of spaced out to where, you take this VRT, it's narrow transport.
Yeah.
That is a big concern
Yeah.
in the area with more population, but as far as a lot of narrow back roads.
You guys got quite a few hills in that area too,
Yeah,
right?
it's a little different terrain as
Yeah.
far as probably more hills than what you're used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty flat over our way. Yeah. What we would call a hill, most guys would laugh at.
Right.
Yeah.
But, you brought up the VRT. We might as well go down that rabbit hole. It's a product that if we rewind back to last fall, Gunkman was pumping us up about it, like most territory managers would. And, we were all, okay, we'll see how it does. And I said, well, it looks good in the fall, but I think that's easy to do. I think a lot of tools look good in the fall. I said, let's run it in the spring and see what we get. That'll be the true test. And my very first experience was up in Michigan. We did that field day up there. And granted, it was in sand. I mean, it was fluffy dirt, but we were on 280 bushel corn, under pivots, a lot of trash. And I was blown away that day. I was very impressed. But I wanted to get it down back into some clay soils. Brought it back around us and did some demos locally, chased it around, and here now today we've sold 3 of them.
Yeah,
and
it definitely took some strides,
yeah,
for sure.
I think 2 of the 3 that we sold kind of went out on a demo and just never left.
Yeah.
I mean, what that tool can do is unbelievable. I mean, what do you think?
Oh, I agree. 2 degrees to 15 degrees. So you want to be aggressive. You got some tire tracks or ruts, trash. You go knock it out, and if you need to make a finishing pass, you bring it back to 4, 2.
Shallowed it up a little bit.
Shallowed up. It saves a guy from having to, hey, Cody, bring that tractor and field cultivator or finish.
Go unhook that thing and go get this.
We go with one tool to do multiple jobs. Cut down on another tractor operator coming to follow me.
Yep.
Or time hooking and unhooking. It's going to be a game changer all the way around.
Well, and I think we touched on it already a little bit, but the narrow transport on that thing, I believe narrow transport, it's at 12 feet. Is that right?
10 and a half or 11.
10 and a half or 11. Yeah, it's a very
awesome.
narrow transport tool.
Yeah, maybe 11.
So, and all of the Halo series is like that. Even in the
HSD.
The HSD, the Halo Airway, all of those are that narrow transport. And yeah, the way that thing is able to not move very much dirt, and then you go and you can go from one extreme to the other, it's unreal.
Yeah, I expect Corbin to sell 5 or 6.
Nice.
Great.
There we go.
I did see the video you had done on it, and looking across the field there, at times it looked like you had taken a different tool through there, and you explained it was just some different settings you did, and it was amazing how much some of it you were burying 90% of the trash.
Right.
And others you were leaving more trash on top.
Yeah, that was a cool demo because we had probably a dozen farmers in the field watching, and Dave was with them. I was in the tractor with the operator, and I was on the phone with Dave, and he would say, "Okay, what do you guys want to see?" And they'd say, "Well, let's see it go more aggressive." I'd push the button, games would change, we'd spin around. What do you want to see now? Well, what about them baskets? Put a little more pressure on them. All right, let's do it. And I mean, we never stopped the tractor when we made. Now, granted, when we're making depth changes, we do have to get out, but all the other changes was made on the fly, and it's amazing. The last one I sold was a 30-footer there in Bell Fountain, Ohio, and they were running a horse joker, and they had some Salford tillage tools already. And I wanted to put it up against the horse joker. Just, that's a tool it's a good tool, great tool.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just put them apples to apples, and so did they. And they were planting late. They were so wet. They were on the verge of prevent plant. I mean, I think we're probably mid-June here. And we were actually working up corn, and then they were going to replant what we were doing. And in the same field we were running, and that 30-foot VRT stayed right there. So they own that tool today. And so that thing is unbelievable how it's got the best of both worlds. It's independent blades, but it's on those modules so that it can adjust. It's got the joystick that 30-footer did. That joystick was pretty cool, being able to run that. And then the 20-footer I sold was to a farmer just east of Columbus, and their issue that they were looking to solve was they did not have much time at all. They run a big business outside of farming, and then when it comes time to farm, they got to go, and they got to go now. They were tired of hooking up to this tool and then this tool and then the planter. They wanted something they could hook up to and go and plant so that they could get back to work. And so we demoed them the VRT, and it fit what they wanted to do. It did this, it did that, and it did in between. And that's what that thing was made to do. And yeah, I don't know how many more we have on order. I think 3.
Yeah, we got 3 of them. I believe we got a 20-footer and 2 30-footers.
We have a 35.
We have a 30, so we got a 20, a 30, and a 35 on order.
Yes.
Those are all coming to Nova then?
Well, I'll have to check on that. Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
Can you explain what all's on that joystick then and what all that does?
Yeah. So, the only tricky part is making sure, like on a 20-footer, let's say, that the guy has enough hydraulic remotes. I think 4 you need, maybe?
5.
5?
Yes.
That sounds right.
Yep.
And so what the joystick does is it narrows that down to like
3?
2 or 3.
3,
And basically, on the joystick, you've got multiple control functions. So your wing down pressure is locked in on the joystick. Your baskets are on the joystick, and then your pitch is on the joystick. So
Very good.
A guy can sit there when he's running, instead of trying to figure out which lever, it's labeled on the joystick, and that joystick can be mounted in the cab, and it's pretty handy.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure the bigger you go to, I think it jumps from 5 to 6
Yes.
that you need in order to run that tool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the biggest hiccup with that tool, but you can also get that joystick and eliminate that problem as well.
Yeah, it
So,
solves it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. And I think once a guy gets used to running the joystick, he really enjoys it. It's just it's an easy, you could call it fun, kind of cool way to run a tool, and it gives you a lot of control.
Yeah. I know we touched on the gangs there a little bit. I don't necessarily want to call them gangs because modules, yeah. But the blades that are on there, we didn't really touch on those at all. So those are kind of like they almost look like a 25 wave blade that you would throw on like on a 28 applicator Coulter, but they're cupped a little bit. So they're not super aggressive, but they're also aggressive enough. So it's kind of like a hybrid blade, which is pretty sweet. And I believe those are 22 inches. Is that right?
Boy, I couldn't tell you. I should know this,
I
but
think
I don't.
they are. I know they're 5 bolt. I know that.
I've never seen a blade like them. I know that.
No, yeah, they're different.
They're notched, they're cupped, they're fluted. I mean, they get ran through the mill.
Yeah.
For sure. But double basket standard, at least the way we order them. I don't know. I can't say enough about that tool, and we had so many guys that I wish we could have got to and demoed, and we just didn't get there between the wet spring and whatever. But we will have one running at the Farm Science Review. We will have more coming. I don't know. I think it's January now.
Yeah.
But it's something to keep your eye on if you're tired of having a field cultivator, a VT tool, a mulch finisher maybe. I mean, this tool is all in one. I mean, I'm not going to tell you that you can go sell your 875 ripper, but anything that is designed to do 6-inch tillage or less, the VRT is going to replace it.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and even those narrower 20-foot tools, you can go 12 mile an hour.
Yeah.
You're still going to eat some acres with that thing.
You can haul with those things.
Yeah,
I mean,
they've got the huge tires, so road
and
transport.
honestly, with those tools, the more speed, the better that thing works anyway. So if you can pull it 10, 12 mile an hour, do it, because that's what those things like. And
Right.
So,
Yeah.
What's the horsepower requirement per foot about, or I know it depends on how deep and all that,
So,
but
10 to 18 horsepower per foot.
Right.
Depending on how aggressive.
right.
Yep. The 30-footer I sold, we were pulling it with a 420. And in the field we were in, his main goal was just to rip out the corn that was there. He was replanting corn, so of course there was 15,000 population probably there, and he just wanted to rip that out. So we were probably medium aggressiveness and running maybe 3 inches deep, and the 420 was pretty well playing with it. I mean, But then, just for the heck of it, we kicked it up and we buried the tool and went aggressive, and the 420 couldn't go over 8 miles an hour. So, and then the 20-footer I sold, I think they had a mid-3s tractor on that one.
Very good.
Yeah, so I mean, they can take some serious horsepower if you're looking to get aggressive or something like that. But it's but when you have a tool that does what that thing does, it's going to take some ponies.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I think on a 35-footer, if you want to run it in the most aggressive spot, I think they say like 600 horse
yeah,
to pull it at X mile an hour out. Remember what the X mile per hour was, but yeah, they recommended 600. So
yep, yeah. We're kind of in the heart of cover crop season right now.
yeah,
You've been getting some calls on them, Seth?
Yeah, lots of calls on cover crop cedars. Got a few of them sold, need to get delivered. But I would say we're probably getting 3-4 phone calls a week.
Oh,
At least I'm sure
Yeah.
everybody else is.
Right.
The nice thing is we have them in stock.
Right.
And mount them on anything, pretty much.
yeah,
So, but yeah, I see that we're going to get quite a few sold here again.
yeah. We just shipped out the one that you sold with the 60-foot boom.
Well, that's what I was going to say. What
Yeah.
about that one? Tell
Yeah.
us about that project.
Yeah, so was dealing with a soil and water out of Wisconsin. And they were looking for a cedar that, the customers can rent, go in crop, and apply. Actually happened to see pictures of the one that we had at Louisville Farm Show. So a 3-point mount, Valmar 6056 with a 60-foot hydraulic boom. That's what we put together for them, and yeah, that should be up there Friday, tomorrow, Monday, or at some
Sometime.
point. But yeah, so it's going to be their rental machine up there. We did make it ground drive because
Yep.
not everybody would be able to run ISO, so we did that. Sounds like everyone up there is very excited, to get this and to get rolling with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's kind of a specialty product that we kind of designed and fabricated. The
Yep.
guys in the shop, we took a spray boom from Unverfirth, and we put the hoses and the drops on it every 30 inches, and that's a sweet deal. We've sold a few of them now.
Yeah, I actually just sold one as well. Actually, I didn't realize that you had that one sold, so I actually sold that, not knowing that you already had it sold. But he's still moving on with it and moving forward with it, so that one's still sold. So boys in the shop right now are building another frame for it. I got the boom ordered, and he's going ISO. He lives in Van Buren, so he is actually an organic farmer, and he's on 30-inch bean centers right now. And so what he's wanting to do is he's wanting to go in and tiptoe in his standing beans and plant cover crop before he harvests his beans. So he's hoping to get at least, some good growth before he goes in and harvests his beans.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is on fire right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I got multiple cedars that guys are hot on. I got a couple of guys. I got a guy in New York. I got another guy in Illinois. I mean, we're getting phone calls from all over the place.
Yeah, I actually have our 246 boom machine out on rental at a fairly large dairy in the area. They're putting in a bunch of new hay seedings.
Sweet.
And I need to get with him the pricing. He actually wants a 245, but had the 246, 60-foot booms, 4-section control.
Yep.
And I've rented it to a couple of big hay producers for overseeding.
Yeah.
And they all report back to me they love the machine.
Right.
It's great. So I can see getting a few of those sold in the area as well.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely.
Yeah, I was telling Corbin we've got a trip planned for sometime in August, hopefully. We've got 5 cedars, I think, to install between Indiana, Illinois, and Missouri. So I'll be making plenty of videos on that trip, but we're excited to get that one done. Those trips are always fun. I know Devin and Sam are working hard back at the shop to get brackets made, and Austin's putting things together for us, and that'll be a fun one. We go out, we work our butts off for 2 or 3 days, get farmers taken care of, get the cedars mounted on them, and those are fun.
Yeah, especially whenever you're able to go and see different parts of the country and see what everybody else is doing and see how everybody's progression is going. And not only that, you get to spend there's some good hours to where you can talk about some things that, might need to be discussed in the truck, and you got time to actually talk about it because, you're driving at 9:30 at night and you're not getting a phone call.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that does some good for at least whenever you and I go out on the road anyway together. So
Yeah, we can talk about what Cody needs to fix.
yeah, right. I'm always the one that gets beat up, so don't expect that to be any different. So
Being the end of July, Dad looked at me a couple days ago. He said, we're going to have a bunch of equipment at Farm Science Review. I said, every year? Yeah, we will. We're going to have a ton.
Yeah.
And but it sneaks up on us, and he filled out the paperwork. The reason for the conversation was he filled out the paperwork for the demo stuff, and we're going to have a strip till bar that we're building in the shop right now that Dad sold. It's a 16-row Yetter Maverick with ST10 following behind it to band fertilizer in the fall. So we're making strips, and we're banding 2 different products into this strip, and then the customer then is of course going to plant into that in the spring. But so we'll be demoing that in the field, and then we'll be demoing the VRT, like I said, with gunkman. But from there, we'll have I'm hoping that we're going to have a fast applicator available. We're going to have some BBIs.
Yeah.
We're going to have some Valmars. A lot of our top products. But what I was saying there is that, we're only a month and a half away from moving product into Farm Science.
Yes.
And what's craziest about that is I know a lot of farmers who don't make it to Farm Science because they're harvesting.
Yep.
Now, granted, they planted later this year, so harvest may be a little later, but surely there'll be guys chopping silage.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's crazy to think of that. But, products like the Yetter Devastator, being late July, I can't believe we haven't even talked about that product yet. But,
we haven't even really done any videos or anything on it, but it's not all, applicator season just ended here 3 weeks ago, so it's not.
I just had guys finish side dressing last night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They were
exactly.
that late.
So
one was that small.
Right.
So guys, there was I think Corbin. Someone said there was just someone still putting on the anhydrous.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there was some really late, but things are coming fast.
yeah, it's crazy.
The Corbin being in combine sales in the past a little bit, are you familiar at all with the Devastator?
I didn't see a lot of them, but I did hear some of it, and I'm looking forward to promoting that. I think I'd seen the videos you'd done on it, and that really breaks down that corn stalk and makes a big difference. That's a big problem in the spring, is all the residue, and you don't get your nutrients out of it if it's not broken down.
Right.
If you bury it, you don't get the nutrients, as quick as right at ground level. So
Yeah, I would say as far as our top returning on investment product, Devastators at least 1 or 2.
Probably 2 behind the Poly Twisters.
Yeah, Poly Twisters is 1, Devastators number 2.
Yeah, Bex has it broken down. They pay for themselves, and I don't know, like
If it's
150 acres.
Yeah, if you put them on a 12-row planter, I think you can pay for them in 120 acres.
Yeah. Whereas the Devastator, it's a little bit further behind, but it all depends on how you look at it. If you're saving a pass in the fall, you got to look at the tire damage. I got guys that run them strictly for tires. You know how much a tire is today.
Yeah.
A Devastator, if it can increase the longevity, maybe maximize your trade-in value on that combine years down the road, they're worth their weight in gold.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I had a gentleman in there that just stopped by the shop there yesterday, and he goes, well, I was wanting to price out a Devastator, and I was like, all right, and I gave him a price, and he goes, well, holy cow. He's like, that's cheaper than a set of combine tires right now.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, he goes, we run the stock stompers right now, but he's like, I just don't get the breakdown that I like to see, and half the time my corn stalks pop back up, and I go, yeah, well,
Right.
devastator will fix that.
Yeah,
So,
and it helps with every pass you make,
That-
whether
yeah.
you're no-till
Yeah.
or conventional or minimum till. It's helping
Yep.
all those processes.
yeah, I mean, we have a local guy that had them on his old corn head and then took them off because they plugged up, and now he's putting them back on and getting extensions put on them. So, I mean, it's like, guys know they work.
Yeah, the stalk rolls, like the Calmer stalk rolls or the 360 chain roll, what can happen is that if they chew that stalk up really fine, it'll lay in front of that devastator, and sometimes it can't quite grip enough to roll over that, and so they make an extension now to extend it. I've also had guys put like a cleat on there, well, like an additional grip, like a cleat to help it keep rolling, but it's fairly rare that we see that, and a lot of it has to do with the pitch of your head. too.
Yeah.
Okay.
If a guy's having problems with it, a lot of times he's got that head laid too far back on the rear, and if you were to pick it up, but yet lower the head, to still get your same height,
Right.
a lot of times it'll fix that, but awfully trouble-free. I mean, Kilbarger down there, he's got an 8-row that has seen like a ridiculous amount of acres. I think on one set of bearings, he ended up finally changing them, but he had like 8,000 acres on this Devastator on the original set of bearings, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But impressive.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, guys will ask me, well, how long do these bearings last? And I was like, it all depends on how hard you run them, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, and those are like kind of those trick questions, because if you like tell them something that, well, it only lasted 1,000. You told me it'd last 3, and I'm like, well, I don't know how hard you run your stuff, dude.
Right.
So I
well,
can't.
a lot of it has to do with the moisture. I feel like we're going to have a big bearing problem issue this year. I mean, not a problem, but maybe some premature throwing of bearings because it was so wet last year. Guys are running in mud, and that mud gets in there, but the more down pressure you're putting on them rollers, you're making them bearings squeal a little bit. But yeah, that's a product. And again, I don't know. I wouldn't want to have to count the Devastators in cold water right now. It'd take you a while.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're close to 40.
Yeah, 40 or 50 probably. They're just stacked everywhere. So we're good, and they're showing up daily.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so we're good there as well. So creeping up on Farm Science, creeping up on yet our Devastator season. The amount of Salford tools that we have ordered in here for the next few months is pretty refreshing as well. The downside is when someone like Seth sells one, then you're out of the game until January.
Yeah. That's just.
But like we just got a field cultivator in, and not too many guys are looking field cultivator quite right now. That's a lot of times a December to April kind of deal, but it'll be so. We've never stocked a 40-foot field cultivator ever, and we went out and we have confidence in our sales team, and so therefore we order product, and we're going to have a 40-footer sitting there locked and loaded, ready for a guy to hook up to
This spring.
at any time.
Or sooner.
And we'd never stocked a 41-foot I-Series before either.
I was about ready to say that.
A good thing we did. Had that thing not been coming in,
Well-
the customer been like, never mind, maybe.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm convinced more and more that tools like that, you aren't going to sell them if you don't. You know what I mean? I mean, in the world that we're in today, surely everyone has gotten burned by the promise dates. Oh, it'll be here in April.
Yep.
Of what year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It turns into April of the following year, and that is torturous to go through.
We've seen that already this year with the Endurplast sprayers that we ordered back January 31st, and we were told that we were going to see them in April.
Right, which the Honda pumps, and worldwide, the Honda pumps have just hurt everything from 3-inch banjo poly pumps or the Endurplast sprayers. Honda pumps have hurt, and that was what we were waiting on there. But what I'm getting at is this stuff that we're ordering. You know, who in the world can pull up to a dealership and find their next 40-foot tillage tool? I mean, usually those things are special order, and you have to have, you know, a petition written to the company to get it in the next 12 months, and we can't do that. But then there it is sitting on the lot in Ohio, and that's what we're going to work towards. I think stocking the things that other people don't, and having the confidence in our sales team to be able to stock that equipment, be able to sell it, and I think that's what's going to help long term.
Yeah. We say it all the time. You know, we started out going, I think we over-ordered. Remember how many times we go, we got too much ordered. Then it turns into we didn't order enough.
That's what we said about spreaders last year.
Right.
I mean,
And
we
now-
said the exact same thing.
And now we're going to be starting out with great inventory on spreaders.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, ahead of the game.
Yep. And we said the same thing on the tillage tool. I mean, I don't remember how many tillage tool pieces that we have currently on order, but I'm pretty sure it's north of, what do you think?
Probably 10 or 12.
10?
Right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
I know we have a 1231, a 1224.
Some 22s and some field cultivators.
Yeah, I mean, we got a bunch
Yeah.
of stuff on order right now. And like you said, we just got the field cultivator here this week.
Yeah.
So
You know,
we'll be
we-
rolling.
Touching on some of this equipment, the spreader inventory, what do you guys see in this farm? I've been getting several phone calls for single axle, high clearance. And I noticed here this spring, driving up Route 250, or there was a lot of granular applied for side dress or top dress. So I see the pockets, and there's people talking more about going that way.
I think a lot of it is that government restrictions are starting to become pretty hefty on the gas side of things, and guys are either having to make the switch to liquid or dry. And so whichever one's relatively available in that area, that's the way that they're going.
Sure.
Is what I'm seeing.
Well, I think if we missed any boat, it would be the high clearance spreader boat. You know, that's probably the only application market that we didn't cover pretty well this year. You know, is it as big as our J&M applicator world? No, but there's definitely, you know, probably 3-4 guys in Ohio that probably needed one.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, it's
I mean, if we had two on hand, I don't think we wouldn't have been able to sell them.
yeah.
You know,
At that
'cause we
point in time.
sold a couple, the
Right.
used one and a new one. You know, the used one, which was like new, the farm that bought that, they love it.
Yeah.
You know, they're going out. They think, you know, spreading 80 foot, covering acres,
Yeah.
getting it done.
Yeah.
You know, so,
In crop, that's pretty sweet.
yeah.
Yeah, well, the anhydrous world, I think, is going to continue to drive a lot of what we do. You know, not only the safety and the regulations, co-ops don't really want to mess with it. Now, corn loves it. I think corn loves anhydrous more than anything, personally, from what I see. And a lot of farmers enjoy using it. But I see it all the time as we sell J&Ms. You know, we're trading in anhydrous bars. Guys they're just going away from it. Liquid's a little bit, you know, granted it's more product you have to handle, but it's more relaxing. The controllers on them are a lot cleaner. You kind of know a little bit better on actual volume applied. I think there's a lot of, you know, row by row controllers. I think things are shifting from anhydrous. They have been for a couple years, and you're always going to have your guys that do it, but I think the majority, it's going to be dry and liquid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm seeing recently some fertilizer input prices dropping slowly. I follow some guys on Twitter that give updates of prices, and it seems things right now are dropping, which, you know, you hear of a lot of guys locking in the summer before due to the decrease in prices. So I would say that's probably typical of the seasonal pricing that you get, but overall it's still priced plenty high. But yeah, I think that the high clearance spreader market is something that we're definitely that we probably missed the boat on a little bit last year. So
We'll have to order a couple. Cody.
Yeah.
yeah, well, hopefully Gunkman doesn't listen to this podcast.
Does he ever listen to anything we say?
He don't. No, we don't have to worry about that. But no, you know, Corbin, we've got the employee training, quote unquote, that we kind of call it, out there in Coldwater coming up. Seth, you've been through one of them now, or two?
Couple, yeah.
Two.
Couple, I
Cody,
believe.
you've been through one.
One, yeah.
Right? What do you guys think of it?
It's a good experience, honestly. Just a good team bonding time, honestly, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, there's definitely stuff that we learn and we focus on trying to get better, and you know, that's kind of the end goal at the end of the day, is to get better every day. But sometimes with things that go on, it's not always the easiest thing to do.
Right.
So with it being able to crunch it down into 2 days and, you know, get the J&M factory tour and stuff like that, you know, it's pretty neat to see. And since last year, they've actually put up 2 new buildings that we haven't even been in or seen yet. So,
Right.
Yeah, no, I think it's I truly like it for the purpose of just team building,
Yeah.
because I think that's you got to trust the guys that are around you, and I think that's the most important part and piece of a puzzle in order to run a dealership, is having trust in every person that you have to deal with every day.
Right.
I would
yeah.
agree.
Yeah. I was.
When was the last time I seen you? When we did that service
That's why
call?
I told Corbin. I told him, said, I've been lucky. I ain't had to deal with Seth in months.
Yeah. I think I just told your grandpa yesterday. I'm like, I haven't seen anybody
Yeah.
in Coldwater in months.
Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of what sparked this. Dad will say it too, that all he thinks about is the dealership and making things. And I kind of in the same way. I mean, on the weekends I'm doing stuff, but I'm like, what are we going to do next week? What can we do? What are we going to do? And where can we improve? And this past weekend I was like, I haven't been to Nova. I need to meet Corbin. We need to record a podcast. And I said, we're going. And I texted Cody. He was on a hiatus in Vegas, and I said, when you coming back? Been gone for 3 weeks now. And he comes back, and I said, well, we're going to Nova. So we booked it. We did it worked out great. I had a guy call me last night, ordered some closing wheels. We dropped them off on the way. Cody had a service call lined up.
Yep.
We got that tackled, Raven 440 speed sensor.
Yep.
You know, and then we came up here. But yes, you know, back to what I was originally talking about, though, is, you know, getting to see people. You know, you can talk to guys all you want on the phone, but when you're in front of them and the energy's there, and you talk, and you can't do this kind of stuff back in Coldwater and Nova when there's the distance. So the employee deal's fun. I think, Corbin, you'll enjoy it. You'll get to meet everyone at the shop. Everyone's excited to meet you, and I think once you go through that, I think it all kind of comes together. You know, you meet this person and this person, and what do they do? And okay, yeah, there's the plasma table, and okay, so they can do this, and I think it all kind of comes full circle at that point.
Good.
Yeah, just because you don't get to have those conversations.
Right.
I mean, if I want to, we might call it, hey, what is the tag number? I need this.
Right.
And we usually find out the best time to talk is, I'm on my way home, I'll call Adam at 5:30.
Right.
Or 6:15, right? Because you can't do it during the day.
No.
You know.
Because either you get interrupted by a phone call coming in from the office, or you got guys calling you or something along those lines, and somebody needs this, and then, you know, I know you and I have talked, you know, after hours for 15, 20, a half hour to, you know, at a time, and
Well,
it's just...
It's no different than Tammy and I, right? We might be here together all day on certain days, but her phone is just busy.
Yeah.
So what we have to talk about, we actually do it when we get home.
Right.
Yep.
It just happens. Then we figure out what are we doing tomorrow,
Right.
next week. Yeah, it's just the way it is.
Then she puts you to work.
I usually just go to my dad's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang out there.
She can hear us. Yeah. No, it'll be fun. I think we covered a lot in this podcast, and I wanted to mainly get Corbin on board in a podcast, get his feet wet. This will be one of many.
Yeah,
and we try, and we did for a long time, do one every week.
We got really busy.
It's Cody's fault, and
it's my fault.
I would release
I told you,
it.
I get the point.
in the email blast every Friday, and we would have a new podcast release. And my goal is, we'll see in the podcast world, you won't know this for a while, but my goal is next week we're going to try and meet up with Susie Kinzenball, the owner of Kinsey Manufacturing in Iowa, when we go there. I've sent 4 emails now back and forth to her marketing director, telling her what we want to do. It's not set in stone by any means, but we're going to try like heck to sit down with the owner of Kinsey and do a Fennequin podcast with her. That'd be kind of cool.
Nice. Yeah.
So Dad and me and Cody and Kyle are flying out to Iowa City next week to the Dealer Mind Summit. It's a really cool deal that they do. This year the topic is service, and there's always some things to take back to the dealership, and it's a pretty cool deal. So we're going to fly out Monday, come back Wednesday night, just a quick deal. But in the meantime, I know we're going to be close to the Kinsey factory, and we're going to try and meet up with Susie.
Yeah.
So, well, I know all of our phones have rang a few times since we've been sitting down, so it's probably time to get back at it.
Yeah.
And until next time, we appreciate everyone tuning in. Thanks, Corbin, for taking the time, and Seth and Cody as well. So appreciate everyone tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.